Hello again, friends. Here we are on the eve of the Irish general elections 2024. And I just thought it was appropriate to make a brief comparison, hopefully not too lengthy, with the general elections in the United States that have just occurred. Now, we're doing something a bit different this week. This is a live video. Whereas usually I pre-record and then load it up. So if we make any mistakes today, guys, well, they are what they are, all right? As you can see, my name is Stephen T. Manning, for those of you who don't know me, the administrator of the Integrity Ireland project. And usually I do these talks on Sunday, the S.O.S, Stephen on Sunday, or Sense on Sunday, or whatever you'd like to call it, okay? So today, what we'll do is run through a few slides today, guys, and we'll start off with the title slide today, Hypocrisy and Hyperbole. Hyperbole, sorry, there's your first mistake of the evening. Politicians versus the people, and Ireland's chance to do the right thing. So I'd like to draw a few parallels between the recent US elections and the victory of Donald Trump and team over the Biden-Harris collaboration, and just make a few salient points. And if you please bear with me, guys, you'll see how this all comes into play as we advance through the slides. So first of all, there are a few things that we should not be too quick to forget about the campaign that was recently run on both sides. And we should start to understand by what's going on in America, because it is, of course, the most, well, it's the leading so-called democracy in the world. But again, we can argue about that another time. But it's certainly the most powerful nation in the world in many different ways, militarily, by financial clout, and by influence. And therefore, it is hugely important to everybody that is awake and aware as to what happens. Now, it's no secret to those of you that have been watching our videos, it'll be no secret to know that personally, I was advocating for people to absolutely vote for Trump, especially with his combined team of Musk and Robert Kennedy Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard and so on. Not so much to vote for Trump, but to vote against a continuation of the warmongering, wokest, far-left, so-called liberal elites represented by, career liars and manipulators like, I'm sorry to say, but let's be frank, like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They are products of the system. That's what's wrong with them. And the reason I was advocating promoting Trump in this sense, because of course he's far from being a perfect human being. He has certain character traits that many people find objectionable, but he has a few character traits which could arguably indicate that he is exactly the right person for our times to be going in as largely as a disruptor, to go in and unsettle a system that has become truly diabolical. Now, this is a global system, guys. We'll cover this in a couple of slides in a moment. It's a global system. It's epitomized at the moment at the, profit at any price, savage capitalism, and warmongering for profit, and where people are obviously losing their lives. But it also drifts into the abortion issue. It drifts into this mass immigration, the New World Order, this attempt by a small self-elected elite, if you like, which does include many senior politicians and celebrities and the people of that nature around the world, very rich and influential individuals, who see themselves as a somewhat sort of higher species than the rest of us sort of ordinary folk, and have decided that they're going to plan the future of the world simply because they have all the power. And one of the arguments against that, of course, is that the very fact that they hold all the power should be our first indicator that something could be very, very wrong with their characters, their personalities, and their methods and methodologies. Now, of course, you could also apply the same argument to whoever is in power at the time, including Donald Trump. And we shall come to that in a moment, because there are a few anomalies that need to be looked at and a few clarifying features, so that the message doesn't get clouded and corrupted, that basically any autocratic top-down system that requires of us to surrender our conscience-based free will, and I do mean well-informed conscience-based free will, such as we find in decent, ordinary, empathetic, loving individuals, as opposed to greedy, grasping, deceitful career politicians, and lawyers, and senior civil servants, and so on. Okay, I think I've said this before. I don't know what's coming with each slide, but yes. So I'm going to pull this up here, guys. Let's see now. Is this the right one here? Here it is. Here, I think. Yeah. All I want you to look at here. This is to let me change that the brand thing there for a moment, guys. We'll just I can't do it to nothing, so I just leave that's a little universal, the original principle symbol, which is the basis upon which I do most of my talks now and presentations. It's about this original principle. The more of this we understand, the sooner we're going to be able to put things right in the world. So at the top left there, that was Biden and Harris at their victory speech after the 2020 elections. Now, my little face is down here on the left. I'll disappear that in a moment. I'll do a larger version of this in a moment. But all I want you to look at here is the numbers. Now, those numbers correspond to the 2020 election, all right? And the two main numbers that I want you to look at here is the 7 million margin there. I'll take myself out if I can. Can I get myself out of here completely? I'm not sure if I can. Maybe this way. No, it makes it too small. Sorry, guys. Apparently, I can't get myself. Oh, yes, here we go. There we are. So, yes, as you see at the bottom there, it's 2020. Now, it's out of sequence. Those dates are not running in sequence. It's a chart. You can find it on uselectionatlas.org. It's a mine of information there, guys, and all sorts of calculations and data there that help you understand what's going on. But I want to make a point here. So obviously Donald Trump made a big fuss at the last election because he was the incumbent president, and he lost to Biden and Harris and co in a flurry of sort of last minute postal votes and such like. Now, he then faced multiple charges for allegedly interfering in the election, and everybody, those that don't like him, those who dislike him, those with what's now become known as Trump derangement syndrome, which is, here we go, I'll keep this thing up there, Trump derangement syndrome, which is the clinical term now being given to those who have a visceral hatred of Trump in particular, and it could be anything. Derangement syndrome. It could be Manning derangement syndrome, or Queen Elizabeth, or whoever it might be, or Klaus Schwab. But when people get to the point that their emotions get so clouded by their reactionary, visceral reaction, they've just taken a stance. I hate this man. He is a beep, 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 or whatever it is. They hold that position, and then it doesn't really matter. And by all means, go on in and check it online. There's definitions online now. But it doesn't matter what he does, no matter how good or noble or righteous it might be, they will find a way to interpret it as some sort of nefarious act. And frankly, with people like that, you're sort of pretty lost. It's very hard to reach people like that once they take that position. And isn't it interesting, over the last few years, especially during the big medical event that we're all aware of now, that the world has been, it's not two equal halves by a long shot, but there are two sort of global positions that have been assumed by most people. Many people fell for the narrative and, right, wrong, or indifferent, yes or no, sir, I will do what the authorities tell me to do. I will believe what I read and see and hear on the TV and in the mainstream media. I will not question the so-called authorities because I've been trained and conditioned all my life not to do so. And I'll march along and follow their instructions, sadly to discover now, belatedly, that was not at all a wise move. If you had any genuine concerns for your own health and well-being or for that of your neighbors and society in general. You know what I'm talking about, guys, because this is a live stream, because it's on certain platforms, we won't drift into censorable material. I hope you understand. But the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that having looked at some other data as well, I looked at some pie charts and some needle charts. The fact of the matter is, and I will look now at the next slide, the fact of the matter is that in that particular election, I will have a look here. Now I've got them more or less in order down the left-hand side for you. Never mind. Yeah. So from 2002, 4 to 8, 12, 16, 2024. If you look at the column in the center there, that's the number of votes that were cast. So at the very top, it's 105 plus million, coming down to the last election, 154 million. But what I want you to look at in particular is the three middle figures, or even the four middle figures there, 122, 131, 129, 137. So there's a fluctuation there of 2 or 3 million. Then there's 4 or 5 million, okay, in those figures. But there's a sort of an average there, a consistency. And then all of a sudden in 2020, it jumps from 137 million to 158 million. Now that's over 20 million extra votes. Now, of course, you've got all sorts of machinery and bureaucracies and invested individuals in, I'll see if I make it a little bit bigger than that, invested individuals in America who do not want the public either to uncover or discover that there was some sort of, let's call it at the very least, sharp practice going on by the Democrat camp, having all of these postal votes come in and flood the system, because this question does have to be asked. How come all of a sudden there was an extra 20 million votes when on this occasion in 2024, there was actually 4 or 5 million less than in 2020, even with all the hoo-ha and the brouhaha that everybody has to get out and vote. Sorry, let's try and get a decent shot at this, that everybody had to get out and vote, and almost everybody that possibly could was encouraged to vote. There was the big drama and the big push. We should also note as well, though, that Trump had positioned agents, could we call them, representatives of his campaign at all of the voting centers to at least to minimize the possibility of any shenanigans such as were reported before. And again, we're up against the mainstream media here, guys, because if you're only listening to the mainstream media, which I do to get a balance, then I go to independent sources who have no reason to be lying to us other than from a genuine place of concern about their fellow human beings and the fact that we're being lied to. Because look, lies, this is what gets me so much, guys. It's the first and most obvious giveaway. If somebody lies to you, you see, the problem is, I heard it on the radio one day. He made some stupid statement, this radio broadcaster in Ireland. He said, apparently every day people tell 35 lies or something. My first reaction was, well, I don't, what do you mean, 35 lies? No, I'm not talking about somebody walking up to you and saying, how are you today? And out of, just respect and being cordial, you say, I'm fine, thank you, when in fact you might have a headache or a sore toe or something. No, that's a fib, if you like, of convenience. Nobody would ever consider that to be a lie. But anything of importance, if somebody who is in a position of trust, now this could be someone in your family, it could be your wife, your spouse, your partner, whatever, or it could be your boss, or it could be somebody, in authority in the government, civil servants, judges, lawyers, this sort of thing, politicians. My argument is that the minute they lie to you, they have lost their right to expect you to trust them. It's gone. And if I were the king of everything, so to speak, I'd actually make it a law. And I do believe the Trump team are talking about bringing in something like that, that any senior civil servant or bureaucrat or politician who knowingly and willfully lies to the public, and especially if they do it, for personal or political gain, or as a favor for one of their buddies and colleagues, they would not only be immediately fired, but they would face criminal prosecution. It has to be that way, guys. And if we start thinking of our so-called elected representatives in these terms, and we'll come to the Irish election shortly, guys, you start to realize, oh my God, how many times do we know that they've been lying to us or deceiving us or exploiting us, manipulating us, and we still, like morons, like omadons, as we say in Ireland, like fools, you're either a gullible fool or you're a complicit participant in their deceptions. And that's nothing that we should be proud of, and nothing we should be going to sleep on at nighttime. So the point I'm trying to make here, guys, very simply, I'm still saying now, it's probably more politically expedient for the Trump campaign not to hark on about this right now. But it wouldn't surprise me in the course of the next 4 years if independent investigations are done that uncovers a reality that not only that there was electoral fraud, because it happens in every election, there's a certain amount of it, but it was orchestrated on a massive scale here to the tune of 20 million plus votes that somehow magically appeared in time to get hand the presidency to Joe Biden. And what's he brought us since he's been in? War and wokeism and the World Economic Forum, New World Order agenda, hasn't he? So yes, and for example, during this, now this was during the recent campaign. Now, if I pull this up again for you, just look, guys. So you see this, it says Trump just lost Georgia by 11,000 votes. Now, if you're paying attention, you'll know that this statement is not true in respect of the election that we've just witnessed. Okay, it's not true. It's not true in respect of the 2024 election, but it was true in the sense it was a fact in the 2020 election. So the question has to be asked, why then, with 2 days to go, do you see it down there on the left-hand side? Why then were various American news channels running, articles like this that you look at a glance, and what your first reaction is, oh, Trump's on the decline, he's losing, it'll be pointless voting for him. What were they doing putting this up 4 years after the event? Interesting, is it not? Just again pointing out how slippery and Machiavellian is the true word that these people can be. And thanks to those of you that are joining us as we go along. Obviously, once the time this is finished, I can't see comments on Facebook at the moment, but I can see that we've got a few viewers. So bear with me, guys. We're going to get to the Irish election very shortly. Again, just a couple of memes and posts here that I want people to look at. I did throw this one up before the US election, but I want you to look at this again. Your man on the left says, how do you tell who's telling the truth? The answer, the ones trying to silence other people are the ones who are lying. Okay, so that's a truism. If there is suppression, if there is oppression, if there is censorship, then the people doing it are engaged in some form of deception or some form of nefariousness or wickedness that they don't want you to know about. All right. And top right, you see there, these are some of the trials that were set for Donald Trump. Apart from the 2 assassination attempts, guys, these are all attempts to silence him, to shut him down. And then down bottom right there, you'll see here Kamala Harris. She got her start by having an affair with a corrupt politician, a sugar daddy twice her age, and then she was appointed to various state boards, not unlike what happens over here in Ireland. where friends of politicians and senior civil servants, so-called retire, then get appointed to all of these political boards. There's, I don't know, I think it's 30, is it 300,000 or 30,000, I believe, 30,000 here in Ireland alone, of these NGOs, organizations, that are then rolled in when the government wants to do something. They claim that they've had a transparent procedure using these NGOs to find out what the will of the people is. But of course, it's just the will of the politicians going through their bodies, posing as non-government organizations. You know, it's horrendous. And they're in the middle. And this is just a little tidbit, guys. They're in the middle. Now, Kamala Harris, she was born, her birth name was Kamala Harris. Now, I think that's an I, not an L. I'm pretty sure it is, because it's a capital L as opposed to a capital I. Oh, no, that's right. It's a capital I instead of a capital L. But isn't it interesting, just to play on words, liar, you know. 2 weeks after she was born, her parents then changed her middle name to Devi, which, of course, is very similar to your man's name there at the bottom, the fellow in the red and the black. And just by interest, too, if you take the word Kamala and Harris and you add them up, you know, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, the total comes to 112. You divide that by 6, which is the number of imperfection, and you get 18.666, which, of course, the 3 6s are 18, 18.666. Plenty of 6s there for those of you who are interested in symbolism and or, you know, especially diabolical symbolism. It appears that we may have had a narrow escape here. But anyway, that's another topic for another day. It's one of my specialities, symbolism. And it could mean something and it could mean absolutely nothing. But if the symbolism keeps repeating with uncanny sort of sequential certainty, then it's always worth looking at it, okay? Because most of the sort of secretive organizations in the world, such as the Freemasons, for example, even the various you know, legal fraternities, the Skull and Bones clubs, they all have profound symbolism at their core, and it's there for a reason, not to be discussed today, maybe on another occasion. So here we go. So what have they brought us? As I say here, they've brought us, this is the Democrats since they've been in, they've brought us war, wokeism, and the wicked New World Order agenda. And top right there, this is, I know it's a bit of a shocker, but your man Hunter, you know, Biden's son, not only appointed to state boards in Ukraine, you know, where interestingly he was getting a stipend, or as a director of Burisma, the gas company in Ukraine, which he has no expertise in whatsoever. It's clearly just a title. It's a titular position. And arguably he was given that position to have access to Dad, you know, who is referenced as the big guy in various emails that have surfaced. Now, again, if you're interested, go and research, because the information is there online. You might have to go outside the mainstream media to find it, but there are some very serious, grievous allegations about Biden Jr. and his conduct, which, I mean, it just absolutely disqualifies him from anything other than cleaning out prisons in between when he's on, you know, 23-hour lockdown, you know. Kamala, too, as you see there, opportunely, she posed in front of a pint. She recently did a video. We're not going to show it here today, guys, but there's a video online. Maybe if you just put in the words Kamala Harris, you know, drunk or inebriated or something like that. She gives a lecture to the American people as if they're 2-year-olds. And it appears to me, and I'm just making my own personal observations, but it appears to me that she is drunk. It's not so much stoned or high or anything like that, but from alcohol, it appears to me. Now, it could just be her mannerisms, but they appear to be the mannerisms of somebody who is at least part way through a bottle of vodka or whatever, okay? And what she's doing, going up online, apparently without any guidance or anything, I don't know what she's doing, but she just took it upon herself to make some speech to the American people, telling them all, you know, stay strong and everything will be fine. And well, actually, it's that actually makes sense. But the way she spoke, of course, the usual sort of mincemeat gobbledygook that you're left thinking, what was she trying to say there? You know, it's all sort of sounds nice, and she smiles and she has nice teeth and hair and all that, but is there anything of substance there? Anyway, whereas at the bottom there, as you can see, guys, and this might be a revelation, especially to some people I know who have this Trump derangement syndrome. The fact is, you know, of course, he's not perfect. Yes, there have been scandals. Yes, he must have certain character traits in order to become a billionaire, you know, empire builder, you know, the Trump empire and all the rest of it. Also to have the wherewithal to go up against all of the people who have been attacking him, including, you know, his reaction after being shot, you know. It was, you know, adamant and vehement and determined and arguably very, very brave, you know. But anyway, the fact is, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, and he doesn't do drugs. And this is coming from his own children, who have said that that's the way they've been brought up. Now, I would argue that for someone who's going to have to take on the diabolicals, which is the way I describe the system as it is today, the people who run it worldwide, the fewer vices that he has, that he indulges in on a regular basis, the better, because you can be absolutely sure they will go after him any way they can, because what they are really scared of, the people currently in power, many of them, is they're scared of, well, for example, here in Ireland, I can say with some confidence that corrupt judges, civil servants, lawyers, Gardaí and the like, corrupt ones, that is, I think it's fair to say that they were apprehensive at the very least, if not downright scared. I know some judges were, if they heard I was coming into the courtroom. And I'm not saying this to be boastful, but I see traits in Trump that align with my own sense of righteous indignation and determination not to let these career liars and moral deviants get away with deceiving and lying to us and making careers out of it. I see that in him. So whatever flaws he might have, that, you know, that anybody could point at and say, you know, if he does that, then he's no good. I would say, well, on the other hand, there are certain traits, and you know, he's going in with the intention of so-called cleaning house, and that can only be a good thing given the state of the world at the moment. Yes, again, another one I would like to just point out to you here, guys. So if you remember, I don't want us to forget the lies that we were told. Okay, and that this again consider the Irish election coming up tomorrow now, guys. The first great lie we were told, right there, bottom left, right? This is on one of the mainstream media websites. US election map, the swing states, Harris and Trump could win. So do you remember we were fed a constant diet of that it was quote neck and neck, or that Harris was pulling ahead and she was doing this, she was doing that. And there you have the result at the top, 312 to 226. You know, that's pretty convincing. They're calling it a Trump landslide. That's not my words, guys. That's them, right? That's the mainstream media. But there on the bottom right, just came out today or yesterday, I think, the big revelation by Kamala Harris's advisors, who said that internal polling never showed her ahead of Donald Trump. Not once. Now, the reason this is becoming an issue for them, right? The reason this is now becoming an issue is because she's some 20 odd million in debt to people, you know, donors and the like, and corporations and everything, who her campaign convinced that she was winning, giving them false polls and the like, so that they would keep on giving her money. You see, deceivers deceiving deceivers, you know, I mean, it serves them right, I say. It serves them right, you know. But, you know, in other words, you know, it does the lie, they just throw them out. So all of a sudden, and maybe that's why she'd had a few vodkas the other day when she went online, because she realizes, oh my God, now she's going to have to try and find a way to get appointed to another half dozen state boards so that she can have some free money to pay off all of these massive legal bills. She might even end up getting sued by some of these corporations and private donors who now feel that they were lied to and misled. Not to mention the celebrities. I mean, Beyonce and Joe. No, what was her? I know her name. Oh, Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez and the like. They got paid millions to come on, on stage and act as if they were wholeheartedly supporting this wonderful woman who's going to be our first female black president, etc., etc. They were paid. They were bribed. But what else would you expect from people who have already sold their souls? Huh? So moving on, let's see, guys. Yes, so this came up under the concept of hysteria. I did have a slightly different title to begin with. But again, quote, on election night, as it became obvious that their worst nightmare was about to come true, some liberals fainted, some vomited, many more threatened to leave the country, but I'm pretty sure none actually did. As Donald Trump might say in a tweet, so sad. Yes, and this is what you call Trump derangement syndrome. Now, oh, sorry, actually, that's sort of funny. The way the slide has come out, guys, I do apologize. That's not how I had it. This happens sometimes with the text boxes. As you see, the names under there, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, they were all supposed to be under the faces, of course. Then a horse's ass. I'm sorry, guys. I have to laugh a little bit at myself here. This is quite funny, actually, a genuine mistake. Anyway, so horse's ass has pushed Kamala Harris's name around and underneath. And the horse's ass was supposed to be under the Democrat sign. Yeah, it's supposed to be a donkey, but again, it's just me trying to be a little bit funny, a little bit, they've been made to look like a horse's ass, haven't they? But what they're really most worried about, and what gives me some concerns about Trump's safety still, and I would argue it's something to do with what's happening now with Joe Biden, his administration, even after he was removed from running in the race, first of all, right? Why was he removed? Because they realized he was incompetent, slurring his speech, couldn't think clearly, falling over on the stage and going up steps and all sorts of stuff. Then, what was his name again? George Clooney comes out and says, we need to get someone else. Well, thanks, George, but you go back to your Hollywood studio and you do what you're supposed to be doing. But in fact, that's what happened. There was a vote of no confidence in him, at least from the internal leadership of the Democratic Party, which is Pelosi and Co. and Obama, right? There was a vote of no confidence. They then pushed Kamala Harris forwards as the prospective candidate. Now that she's failed, and this is what's crazy in my mind about American politics. I mean, this just makes no sense to me. The people have spoken. They want Trump to take over. But for some reason, there's nothing stopping the Biden campaign now from starting World War III or something near to it, simply to spite Donald Trump. And they don't, I mean, I know it might sound I'm being a bit outrageous here or a bit hysterical. It would absolutely be in line with their behavior. As long as they felt and thought that they personally were safe in their bunkers or in their Hawaii homes or the coast of New Zealand, their islands, they have no qualms about starting World War III if it serves their selfish, personal, sociopathic interests. They've got no qualms about it, guys, trust me. Furthermore, if it means that is the only way of stopping Donald Trump, perhaps tangling him up in wars in the Middle East or with Iran or Russia, Ukraine, whatever. If they can do that, then, Trump then is basically, he's not going to have the time and attention to be scouring the records and finding out, because basically everybody will be in a panic. World War III is going to happen. Everybody's attention will be diverted to that. And don't want to be giving them ideas, but I see this clearly. It's very clearly on the cards that they would orchestrate as much disruption now in the 2 months before Trump officially takes over the reins. This is crazy. It's an interim period. The vote has been cast. The vote has been cast. There should be a ruling or a law or a constitutional amendment or something in America. I mean, I trust what I'm saying makes sense. That would prevent the incumbent administration from doing anything to thwart you know, a transfer of power in such a manner so as not to, you know, the people have voted. We don't want you, Biden. We don't want you, Harris. We want Trump. And now they've still got 2 months to mess things up to the greatest extent, you know. And again, apologies, Kamala, if you get to see this. That horse's ass doesn't refer to you. It's one of the failings of the slides when I upload them. The text, if I put text in this text box, I'll have to stop doing it. I'll have to do screenshots instead, I think. So, yes, we'll be coming to the Irish election shortly. Oh yeah, this again was just an example of the hysteria when Trump was elected. Someone here claims to be Stephen King. I don't know if it is or not. You know, the film director. Sleepy Joe, you've got 2 months. This emphasizes what I was just saying. Go crazy. Eliminate all student debt. Legalize marijuana. Make tampons and condoms free. Ban Cybertrucks. Poop in the Oval Office air vent. Kidnap Barron, that's Donald Trump's son. The world is your oyster, buddy. What he didn't add was, yeah, let Ukraine use missiles that are going to provoke a nuclear reaction from Russia, you know. And then some other fool here says, helpful tip. One thing you might want to do before January the 20th is update all your you-know-whats. Yeah? Okay. I can't believe there are still intelligent people. I cannot believe that there are still intelligent people out there who it still hasn't sunk in that you cannot trust, or no, let's put it another way. I was going to say you cannot trust the authorities. That's a generalization. But history is telling us, as I'm going to show you in a moment, that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. All right. If you're in one of these power constructs, these hierarchies, depending on your position in rank, you're going to be subject to a lot of pressure to sell your soul, basically. Switch off your ethics, your morals, your consciences in return for the safety and security of the job, your wages at the end of the week, and your pension check when it's due. We've got to wake up. And as I just mentioned, guys, your man there didn't mention Biden allows Ukraine to strike Russia with long-range US missiles. What on earth is this fool doing? Why have we, you know, he's been dismissed by the Democratic Party, basically. But somehow they're allowing him to do this, you know? And if you're all watching the news, you'll see what's happening. This could very well be the sort of thing that'll trigger World War III. We have got to be, you know, we've got to be circumspect, and we've got to be very careful about who we vote for, which is, again, the theme in the Irish elections coming up, guys, to press on. Right, so this is what I want you to look at. Now, I've put this slide up previously in different presentations. I want you to look at it carefully, please, guys, and freeze it if you wish. I want to talk you through a little bit of it, guys. This is, right, this is an autocracy, all right? An autocracy versus a democracy, all right? Democracy is a different model, all right? We get told, and you can freeze this and read the whole thing for yourself later, friends, if you want to. We get told that we're living in democracies, but it's actually not true, because all of the systems within our so-called democratic governments, all of the government departments, all of the political parties, and all of the discrete different systems of operation all operate on an autocratic model. And it's the senior civil servants who basically run these autocracies, and they run them like petty tyrants. Why wouldn't they? That's the way they've been trained, okay? And if you do blow this up, guys, and have a close look at it, there's just one part in this that I'd like to read out to you, which is right at the bottom. The outcome equals the manifestation of values plus the real objective. Often, the real objective is not what is advertised to the public. Then, a whole secondary system of deception, misdirection, and obfuscation is needed to mask the lie. This, in a nutshell, is how our world works today, okay? You've got money, power, prestige, greed, all these inhumane values that are driving these people at the tops of these pyramids, okay? They are supported by the bureaucracy and the administrators, organized and institutionalized administrative and bureaucratic systems to achieve unpublicized objectives via mass deception, public relations, and social conditioning. And at the bottom, you have the fools and the morons, the obedient lackeys, sycophants, and servile employees trapped in fear, ignorance, and or convenience and or misplaced loyalties. Okay, that's the way the world is, guys. That's why everything is going wrong in the world, because that system has to go. And I'm arguing that Trump and his team are the people that are likely to do it. This other slide too, guys, by all means, freeze this, have a read through it. Okay, what I'm showing you is how we're all trapped in a global autocracy, a pyramid scheme, if you like, which is being driven by inhumane values. Now, you will get individuals who express humane values in their own setting in limited ways, as best they can. Of course we do. But what I'm saying is that as long as there's a boss telling you what you can and cannot do, and you feel you cannot express your own moral authority for fear of being fired, sacked, jailed, locked down, or whatever, then there's something fundamentally wrong. This is not the model of children of God. Okay. Now here, and I'll blow this one up, freeze it as well if you like. I contrast the two models. I can't talk about it in too much depth. I've already spoken about the one on the left, guys. The other model, which I'm hoping, as people start to understand that, they'll start voting in people who are going to try and dismantle these autocratic authoritarian systems in favor of these collaborative systems that return power back to the people. So for your own, edification, please feel free to freeze the screen and read through that. And I'll press on now with the next slide. All right. This is me suggesting that Trump's plan to radically remake government with RFK Jr. and Elon Musk is coming into view. That's a headline of a newspaper, CNN actually. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be even more interesting when Trump was first elected. I remember being astonished at that, but also rubbing my hands partly with glee and partly with trepidation. Oh my God, what's likely to happen now? Because he's such a robust, confrontational type character. But I would argue now that what's far worse are the clever, sneaky, insidious diabolicals who brought us war and wokeism and lots of other nasty surprises, and will continue to do so as long as there's profit in it for them. So now here we go on to the Irish election. And for those of you who are fans, here's three of the most prominent politicians in Ireland at the moment. Micheál Martin on the left, Fianna Fáil, and Mary Lou McDonald in the middle with from Sinn Féin, and Simon Harris, the schoolboy, I call him the preppy schoolboy, on the right representing Fine Gael. We haven't got the Greens in there, but look, guys, Irish election tomorrow. I'm suggesting that anybody who continues to vote for the major political parties, and I'm saying it directly now, and I don't care if I meet you on the street and you want to discuss it, I'll be happy to do so. I won't insult you personally to your face, but I will do it here on camera. Anybody who continues to vote for the major political parties in Ireland after seeing what the way they've treated the public with absolute and utter and unbridled contempt is either a fool and an omadon, or they are criminally complicit in the treasonous activities that these people are engaged in as they, gerrymander and shuffle the cabinet positions and everything between themselves, as long as they stay in power and their nests are feathered and they are doing the bidding of their globalist masters. Now, this is my friend and colleague, Steve Kerr, all right, Stephen Kerr, all right. He's running as an independent candidate for Mayo, and obviously I'm promoting him as strongly as I can. Some of you will know that I freeze this screen as well, guys, read through it. He's telling you how these are some of the ways that the system will decide to eliminate your vote if it's not what they want it to be. I'm not being hysterical, as I said before. I've had experience in this myself, guys. I ran in the 2016 and 2020 elections. In the first election, 25% of my vote went mysteriously missing. And the second time I ran, I warned the county register, the highly corrupt Fintan Murphy. I warned him that if it happened again, he'd be held personally accountable. He obviously, he was so smug and secure in his corruption that he managed to disappear 56% of my vote the second time. And I even reported him to, I'll show you a slide about that in a moment. I reported him to the Dáil Éireann. I made formal complaints. Nothing ever came of it. You'd think the other politicians would be concerned that votes were being stolen from some people and given to the big boys. No, didn't seem to matter. But this is Steve Kerr. He's a friend and a colleague. He's an honest man. I'm not going to go into a lot of details here. I'll stand behind that statement. I've known Stephen for about 15 years. He's one of the very few people on the political landscape that I can say with absolute certainty there's no other hidden agenda other than ethics, morality, and concern for the Irish communities. And the same goes for his partner, Suzanne Delaney, his partner in the Irish Inquiry, Suzanne Delaney, who we'll come to in a moment. So if you're voting tomorrow, guys, Steve Kerr, I'm asking you to vote for him. I'd considered running again myself this time. I decided, though, to sit back and try and do my best to inform people about the dangers of these autocratic systems posing as democracies and how we're all being lied to and deceived, so that hopefully people like Stephen can get in there and start doing the right thing, which from my point of view is going to be to first of all find ways to obstruct and prevent these career liars and moral deviants from continuing unaccountable and unfettered and unashamed in the course that they've been involved in for the last few years. Yes, one of the things Steve says there is make sure that you're on the register. Why? This is me, guys. This was about 2 weeks ago, I think. I went in to make sure that I was going to be able to vote, and I discovered that I wasn't on the register. You see at the top, the details you've entered have not been found. I then followed a procedure to find out why I wasn't, and I'm still waiting now for some response to the official website. It's guys, it could be it could just be happenstance, of course. It could be just an unfortunate coincidence, but at no time did I remove my name from the register. I suspect it might have been because they thought or imagined I was going to try and run again. This is one of the first ways. If I had tried to register in the last minute, I wouldn't have been able to sort this out, But anyway, my vote's going to Stephen Kerr, if I can get it in. So that's for the County of Mayo. And I'd ask everybody else who's like-minded to consider doing the same. Certainly, as long as you're not voting for the big boys and girls who are taking you for a fool. Now, this is what I referred to a few minutes ago, just as evidence, friends. Without going into a lot of detail, this was a chart that I put together as part of the criminal complaint. This was also sent to the Parliament, the Houses of the Oireachtas. And without breaking down everything there, you'll just see the major parties here on the left, from top to bottom: Fine Gael, Sinn Féin, Fianna Fáil, Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, Greens, and People Before Profit. Okay, he was at the bottom of it though, Joe Daly. At the bottom then you see Paul Lawless, Iron 2. Then you've got Labour, Independent, me at the very bottom there. I think it was Independent Freedom Party or something, Dorothy. But this was discovered that all of those votes in the difference column were taken away from the people in the bottom with all those red numbers and transferred back up. So there was literally, it's a sleight of hand. That's the proof. If anybody really wants to know more, I can rustle up the report I did on it and send it to you. But there is a video on Facebook called Missing Votes and Dodgy Quotes. It's only 12 minutes long, where I explain what happened. Please feel free to go and look at it. It's still up on Facebook now, and that was posted in 2020. It's just incredible to me. I've lost all confidence in the system and the people who have sold their souls in order to be rewarded by it. And sadly, because I know this and because I talk about it forthrightly, a number of close friends and family members even, just won't communicate anymore. But, it's a price. I hope one day that'll change, but it's a price that we have to pay for aligning with the truth. And anyone out there who's in any stage of grief or anger or distress over the discovery that the authorities are not to be trusted, well, I'm sorry to tell you, there's no escape from that, but it doesn't go on forever. And eventually it turns into a resolve to tell as many other people as possible so that we can actually make a difference. Right, we're almost finished, guys. Yes, this is Suzanne Daly, another lady that I don't know her as well as I know Stephen, but she works with Stephen in the Irish Inquiry. She's running in Dublin West. Now, there's a number of other people too that I would like to give out a shout to, but we're running a little bit short of time. And I think I'll just confine this today to people that I personally know. And Suzanne is one of them that I'm absolutely convinced that her motives are true and real and honest. Both herself and Stephen, neither of them are getting into this because they're political. They're not political. They just see how awfully, shockingly deceitful and depraved many of our politicians are. And you think about it, guys, all of this sexual indoctrination of children, this perverse stuff, and it's all being pushed by politicians who are clearly working for someone else. They're not working for the Irish people, and the mass immigration and the clandestine efforts to get more and more people in, and now the Garda Síochána recruiting in Pakistan and Bangladesh and in mosques and all this sort of stuff. And you have to ask yourself, why? This just doesn't make sense. It doesn't align with what they're telling us is going on. There's something else going on, and we want people like Suzanne and Stephen to be in. And I'll throw out a couple of other names of people I know are running. I haven't written them down here, but Ben Gilroy in Dublin has shown himself to be a stalwart advocate for the people. There's Bill Fitzgerald in Tipperary also, behind the scenes largely. He's been doing a lot of good work, trying to help people in their struggles with the courts and the banks. Dolores Webster in Dublin as well. There's others, David Riley, I believe, in Galway. There's several more. Now, again, I'm just throwing out some names. These are people that I've personally met, I've personally talked to, and I'm assured at this point that their motivation is true. And if saying this online helps them get a few more votes, then all well and good. Next. Oh, yes. Now, for those of you who want to know more, this is the National Alliance website. You've still got a few hours, guys, before voting starts tomorrow. The National Alliance was founded to unite Irish nationalist candidates committed to a shared vision for Ireland's future. Our mission is, I'm just trying to enlarge this, I can't, guys. Our mission is to uphold the principles that put the Irish people and their needs first, standing firm in the battle between globalism and nationalism. Very good. The next slide continues. I'd like you to go and look at this website, guys, because it's got a list of candidates on there. We prioritize housing for the Irish, support and protect Irish families, and are committed to ensuring the safety of our streets. We advocate for peace and Irish sovereignty, whilst challenging the current approach to immigration. In this era of globalist influence, we defend the right to free speech, value and protect life at all stages, and are dedicated to securing Ireland's food supply. Our approach to the environment challenges climate alarmism with rational policies, and we promote genuine education free from indoctrination. We believe in safeguarding private property rights and supporting Irish businesses standing against globalist forces that threaten our local economy. Additionally, we are committed to cutting funding to subversive NGOs that undermine our national interests. We stand for an Ireland that belongs to the Irish people, where our sovereignty, culture, and values are preserved and protected in the face of globalist challenges. So I encourage everybody, please go and have a look at the website. There it is at the bottom, nationalalliance.ie, and see if any of their candidates are there running in your area. And if they are, you know, please, like I said, better get an alliance of independents in there. There will be a few hiccups, of course, people trying to work together, but we're looking to create a different model of governance away from these autocratic, top-down, diabolically controlled entities that have sold their souls almost literally, you know, to you know who. And finally here, guys, the Irish Inquiry. This, if you want to look that up as well, this is the mainstay of Steve and Suzanne. They work together as citizen reporters. They're brave, they're direct, they risk all sorts of repercussions from the system and its nefarious agents. So I'll wrap up with this, guys. That's my final push. Please think carefully before you vote tomorrow. Do you want Ireland to continue down the track that it's going right now? For those of you who may be interested, these are the different platforms that we're on, some of the books that we've written, and feel free to freeze the screen and investigate further. So we're trying to spread these videos out. I keep failing in my promises to have a solid video every week. This will serve for this week. Maybe I'll do another one on Sunday if anything. Well, we'll see how the election goes tomorrow, and hopefully, God willing, we'll see a few decent people put into positions of governance in this country for the sake of our children. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. I'll now do my best to try and end this without exploding the the whole system here. All right. Good luck with the votes tomorrow. God bless.